does a week pass by in Uganda without the media breaking news of a child being subjected to violence, either in school or at home. And yet even more cases go unreported to the media, either because the children cannot speak out or they don't have anyone to talk to.
Welcome to U-report. U-report is a free SMS-based system that allows you as a young Ugandan to speak out on what's happening in your community, together with other leaders in your community for a positive change. It's very easy to join U-report.
Step number 1, text the word JOIN to 8500. All U-report messages are free across all networks.
Step number 2, you will receive a greeting message and a series of questions asking about you. We at U-report would like to know more about you so that we can have a meaningful interaction.
Step number 3, after you've answered all the questions, you will now be a U-reporter.
As a U-reporter, you will get meaningful information and weekly polls that will help you enact change in your community.
Violence against children is a problem in Ugandan schools, where corporal punishment, verbal and emotional abuse is used to ensure discipline by parents and teachers. This is unfortunate because many children are unaware that their rights are being violated.
In a recent survey, 140,000 U-reporters were asked, have you ever experienced any violence in school? If yes, which one? 69% of the U-reporters who responded said yes, they had experienced some form of violence. 10% of the female respondents said the violence was sexual. Thank you, dear reporters, for your feedback. Here is what other U-reporters from the different parts of the country had to say about violence in schools.
The forms of violence that I've witnessed, not actually here in Mbarara, but where I was in Mkono, were basically children being given corporal punishments and then gender-based violence. It was really a common sight.
There has been serious beating of students, I mean young children, serious beating. Others are denied chances of going to school, others are raped, others are malnourished.
I experienced those violences, especially putting me under the sun for over 5 hours, making me to lift the jerrycan for over 10 minutes, and even punishing you, beating you anyhow they like. And another thing, there was a certain good friend of mine, Emmanuel. They caned him 50 strokes due to missing the paper.
As I was in my senior 4 VAC, my uncle beat me, and the situation where I was, it was not good. So I reported him to police. They went to look for him. He disappeared.
I remember of a day when I had gone out at fetch water, not seeking for a permission. After that, the teacher was like, I am going to punish you. You will never forget me in your life. The teacher started kicking me. He slapped me in the face. I felt so bad. That teacher used to take us in mathematics. From there and then, I hated mathematics up to date.
Violence can traumatize you like almost all your life. I happened to go to those schools where things were very tight, caning and all that stuff. And the teacher tells you to do something. If you miss it out, you're caned. Somehow, you're like, at the university they don't cane, but you wake up one morning and you feel like the lecturer is going to beat you up for not doing something. You missed the coursework, you did what, and you feel like they're going to beat you up. That is because of that.
I was very stubborn. They used to punish me every time, tie my arms, then they hung me up, they beat me every in order to change my characters. But when I joined the secondary school, joining secondary school, you can be at least mature. They cannot punish you to that extent until they can punish you by suspending you or expelling you from school.
When I was in primary, I was caned 26 canes because of being late coming to school. That was the corporal punishment.
Generally, the children that fall victim of violence in school are those that are caned by their teachers, even when the Ministry of Education banned caning in schools 6 years ago. Over time, many children get deep physical injuries and psychological trauma from caning and other forms of violence, as we shall see right after the break.
If I'm to ask the government to change the education system,
for someone to go into marriage,
someone
never have
The government can come in and say now.
Have your say. Text the word join to 8500 for free. U-report, because your voice matters.
I'm Susan of Chagonza sub-county, that is Gomba district. It's my third year of being a reporter. I'm proud to be a reporter. I encourage basically the girls to join the U-report because their voice matters a lot.
Children have a right to protection from all forms of violence and harm. Unfortunately, most children in schools are abused at the hands of those that are supposed to care for and protect them. This does not only affect children's mental and physical health, but also affects their school attendance and learning achievements, as was the case with Margaret, who suffered violence in school. Let's hear her story.
Good morning, class. Good morning, sir. How are you today? We are fine. That's good. Let's
Akala Malusku. Alamariang Abin 1965. Arngang adit. No way. Kotere akithianu kang. Nida kaere ngoko dakarang radakar. The school. Sasa nin. Aki yangedang yengen yang lo school. Kamole girls. Abuang odium ana yana nya P6 ngezi na jawo dune changa ko epitongola abunia malume epe iki dishene doa kotere maths bon lakini subject ucheda dangacha aroke.
tell us the answer. Do you know the answer?
Idiom robo yana bukata mare kara ironga kinta karanguni ariam tokona ngakibokoi ebunu ngedka kiboko jik ngada kenetita atamaru ne kipolo kinte do kingada kinte ngini budo kin mam taracha dada cha yina atamar kidicho. Yani abu ko no manga ka ko an chajik ani lodhigi okara akipere dang tamari ota ko ke budok na kona amat nabo akidichiro buchape mamura patotara to ngajemi ata ngapore dingone ironi kintoro. Yani amara changa na kolonget e yero boya malumbiati ngidi yelo mat e kwangana anang na tiere itia che yoto akele firbo cha kujata marara cha ala marobo e chatario chole chatario lakini ke yamlu budokina jo ngidi grakne reti atakara ngomwan atakara nguni atakara ipe e grakno stili gwakno mam nikideni kini.
T was representing trouble. OK was representing you are free from trouble.
Taraut ne dadang ngajeme bon kau nege taraut ngajeme bon abuna ite ngoloto na pivnia sister otamang eke piyor boto kana yang na kware mamnya jotonoria na kwara periang na rakot mamnya pedoria taraki perokona mama anya tamana sister koterenyo atamana tiang kidishidha jujue malim lebo ko muge sasa abungezi okonyara ya na wa kiwolongezi mampana pitala lotama sauri e pedoria ke made yonori na bongeti abuna tiang anyo atama afadhali karalore dolot abana sister khalimokina yang apegyo lore ngila piongine nguni nepende ngila pionguni abuni yang abuni nge after 3 months abuni yang eka waraki yonyo teach alo mission Regina Mundi.
The policy of corporal punishment, as we are aware, has been banned by government. And now we are trying to use other methods to attract children to come to school, to attract children to be punctual, to attract children to be disciplined, and even to attract them to concentrate in a class. Each child has a different interest. But if there are no clubs in school or there are no curricular activities in school, certain talents among children can be killed. So children have different talents. There are those who are gifted in a class. There are those who are gifted in outside activities. And as we know now, you will agree with me that things like football have made some people billionaires. But if they were not offered that opportunity, those talents would be dead. So it is better to have a number of learning activities going on in a school, such that each child's interest and talent is catered for.
Naikara be dang kinte dang ka nyuntur changa kakia lakini epitongolo chegu yakana kuju kongna yako kina kwananga aburuba mangire school.
Like to say sorry for what has happened to her, because it is not good to hear anything about that on your child. So I'm actually sorry for what has happened to her.
Evyo nikinchanga ngizi atamare agiborini buyo pan kitia mamunya joko ni bongono kinabo kongna pecha mamunya chia.
When I used to do wrong when I was still a child, my parent would ask me now, you know what you've done is very bad depending on what you really see. What punishment should I give you? Personally, I would think of a punishment that will not hurt me a lot, but I realized that it will make me realize that what I did was what was wrong. So I'm advising, instead of giving a child a punishment that will leave this child psychologically tortured, physically hurt, let this child suggest a punishment she is able to do. She'll do it knowing it is a punishment and she'll never love to do it again.
Of course, when a kid is brought up badly, after reaching school, he will also behave badly at school. The teachers will also blame their parents. And the parents, after reaching school, the parents will be blaming the teachers where they come from. So I think a child should be brought up in a very good way, not just a matter of punishing a kid in a very bad way, just giving them a couple of punishments.
Me as a professional teacher, I encourage my other fellow colleagues to introduce children's rights clubs at schools so that in those clubs, they can always come around table, they discuss with the children, they tell them their rights and as well their responsibilities, so that if at any one time a child is found in a mistake, he should be able to realize that he has made a mistake.
Please, don't cane the children, don't slap. You give simple punishments, guide and counsel these children. And even when you beat these children, they may develop hatred and they will not learn your subject very well.
I tell that child to stand in front of the class and sing a song while dancing. That one also helps that child to know, oh, if I do another mistake next time, it means they will again put me in front of other children and I again dance. Maybe that child is shy to stand there, so that will be a lesson to that child not to do it again.
Children have been beaten. At the end of it all, teachers have not pushed them to where they're supposed to reach, to the apex. But you'll find that in developed countries like the United States, where they don't beat, people are going to the moon. For us to beat 100 years, nobody can even make a toothpick. So it means that our corporal punishments are not yielding anything.
APCAN is a Pan-African organization that is committed to addressing the issues of violence, neglect, and exploitation of children against their rights. With us here is the executive director, who is going to tell us more about violence against children.
If you groom the child in a violent way, if a child grew up knowing that it's only through violence that problems can be sorted, then you are creating a time bomb. And for those people who are still exercising corporal punishment, for instance, or are still leaving children to suffer violence, I think they are doing a lot of disservice to this country. If you're comparing, for instance, 15-year-olds, that one who has suffered violence continuously, and that one who has not, there's a likelihood that you would find more who have dropped out of school than those who have not suffered violence. There are simple things, actually, even building on indigenous knowledge. Things like asking a kid to apologize if they have done something wrong. You know, you assess the gravity of the issue, how grave is, how big it is. And you ask them to either write down an apology if they can write or express it. It's not good to also be looking at the negative things only. You know, you look at kids in the home who have done something good in school. I remember the days when we were growing in some schools, we used to have the best disciplined person and they get an award, a certificate. And that encourages that person to grow up in that, with that mind that, you know, good behavior, positive behavior is awarded, but also others admire to be like such a person. If you want adults who are going to be open-minded, who are going to be productive and contribute to this country's development, I think you need to end violence at childhood, and early intervention is the way to go. For a child who is experiencing violence, there are many reporting channels. They should report to senior women and men teachers in school. They are there, and in some schools they are trained and they can offer this kind of support. But they can also go directly to the police and report the cases. And there are also civil society organizations with officers who can support them to report their cases further and take them up. And the community development office, especially at sub-county level and even the district, probation and social welfare office are there.
Yala ngono anwara utu U-reporter. Nala miskinto ngo losika tunga me down in this process. Yala manwe.
Hello and welcome back. U-report is a free SMS-based system that allows you as a young Ugandan to speak out on issues affecting you in your community and also work together with other community leaders for positive change. Today I'm joined by Honorable Obua Benson to share with us your U-report feedback on violence against children.
We always receive a lot of messages from U-reporters
and we take time to study them and respond to some in print. But also where we can, we respond, by SMS. I will sample just a couple of them or three. There's this young person from Mukono who says, a classmate in S1 tortured me by beating and nicknaming me because I was poor and I dropped out of school and I lost my bursary. I joined another school after 2 years. Now that's a touching story. Another U-reporter said, a male teacher asked for love from me, this is a female, which I never agreed with. He used to quote everything I did. Whether wrong or right, I was punished for it. And as I started missing biology classes because I was tired of the insults, humiliation, and harassment I was experiencing, because of this, I got a pass in biology. So you can see how violence against children can cause failure in exams. Another one says, yes, we were violently caned for failing questions. Teachers could slap us for any mistakes. We could uproot big tree trunks, destroy ant hills, carry big stones, lie on our backs and face the shining sun. This is an extreme level of violence against children.
How committed are the MPs to ending violence in schools?
We, under the umbrella body of Uganda Parliamentary Forum for Children, have been following up legislations that concern children. And on the table now is the amendment of the Children's Act. And we try to look at the issues of violence against children from a legislation point of view. We presently have laws that protect children against violence, but the implementation is quite wanting. Corporal punishment does not stop in school only. In families, we have known children who have been tortured virtually. So that goes even beyond violence against children. That's torture. So we want the law to take care of all that. And we want to thank organizations, especially UNICEF, who have been so much supportive of this process, enlightening members of parliament. I'll give you an example. Actually, arising from the U-report, we've got some cases of child abuse, and we followed up, not by just responding to the questions, but by going to the specific places. We've ever dispatched a team of members of parliament from the UPFC to go to West Nile to investigate something. So that tells you how important U-report is. As Uganda Parliamentary Forum for Children, where I'm the Secretary General, I want to appreciate all U-reporters for all the feedback they give us, for all the messages that they give us, reporting many things, including violence against themselves, against children. And we urge you to continue doing that. We promise you, as members of parliament, that we will continue partnering with UNICEF and other child-focused organizations to protect your rights and make sure that no violence is tolerated against any child.
First, let people know that doing violence to these children, to our people in the community, is wrong. Because I know other people do these things out of ignorance. They don't know that maybe when I do this, I will be punished. When I do this, I will be imprisoned.
When a child is caned, we're not allowed to go back to school. If he or she sees that teacher, we'll just run away. I hate school. And in that case, we have seen many school dropouts.
Sometimes you may solve it by looking at a student. If this student is more stubborn, that student should be given the responsibility. And when this child is given the responsibility, you find that he will not repeat all the mistakes, but he will want also to become the advisor of the rest.
We've engaged the police, whereby we call the community members for social issues. they discuss about them. These police people talk to them. For example, the person responsible for children and women affairs, they talk to them about those issues. Those who have been mistreating the children, at least try to change. For example, we've been having that program, and we are realizing some change, whereby the children are no longer come to us reporting how they are mistreated.
I would like the government at least to put the offenders in custody at least for 5 years in prison. Basically, when it comes to these defilers who defile young children, they should also arrest. That is the only thing I can do. As in, at least I would request the government to look upon this stuff and put the defilers in custody. That is the only thing maybe I can advise the government to do.
There you have it, U-reporters. You too can be part of the change that ends violence against children in Uganda. Protection of children's rights is everyone's responsibility.
There are several ways of disciplining a child who has done something wrong. For example, you can deny them their favorite TV program or even toys. Such simple measures and more can help prevent violence against children in Uganda and across the world.
Next time, we would like to hear from you. Let your voice be heard. If you have not signed up to become a U-reporter, it is as easy as texting the word JOIN to 8500. It is free across all networks. Cheers. Children have a right to protect it.
69% of the U-reporters who responded said yes, they had experienced some form of violence. Now 10% of the respondents 69% of the U-reporters who responded said yes.
This does not only affect children's physical and mental ill.
.69% of the U-reporters who responded said yes, they had experienced some form of violence. Now 10% of the female respondents said the violence. Let's go, sorry.
Unfortunately, most children in schools are violated and abused at the hands of those that are supposed to care for them.
10% of the female respondents said they